Right.
All right. Let me share my screen. So today is July 11th, 2026. We are working on our CBAP certification. Would y'all like to do chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8 today? Or do you want to stick with 6, 7, and 8?
I am okay with 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, it's a bit of an overlap. I'm okay with either.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and add it in. Well, if it'll let me. So these are all the chapters that you do once a project has begun or once a solution is in place. We will leave the planning and monitoring for later because it seems a little easier compared to these. Is that okay with you, Jose? Okay, let's get started. Okay, which of the following are the inputs to the measure solutions performance task? So, can you tell me what knowledge area we're in here? Anybody? Jose, I cannot hear you if you're talking, and Chetna, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm still trying to tickle my brain cells to figure out where this
It's
section is
okay.
and the answer.
Oh,
No.
okay, so once you have a solution, you know you're in chapter 8. So that means we're in solution evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
So in the measure solution performance task, just to remind you, the purpose of measure solution performance is to find performance measures and use the data collected to evaluate the effectiveness of a solution in relation to the value it brings. So the inputs to that: validation of implemented solution, solution
Implemented
performance.
solution and business objectives.
I'm sorry?
I'll go with option C, implemented solution and business
Okay.
objectives.
Okay. Jose, do you have an opinion?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, now I can. Good.
Okay. Sorry, I had to change a few things here. Let me read it.
I've got one vote for C.
Business objectives implemented solution.
And you are both correct.
Yeah.
Very good. So you need the business objectives to say what is it we're trying to accomplish or we're trying to accomplish with this particular solution. And then you need the solution itself to do your performance measures. Good job. The target time for creating printable labels is 4 minutes per 100 labels. Current results range from 3.4 minutes to 7.8 minutes. So with this statement, what knowledge area are we in? So the first question is, do we have a solution?
It could still be a solution evaluation, something associated with performance measures.
Right, because you've got current results, right? So it
Yes.
tells you have a solution in place, at least in part. So, what is the term which describes a discrepancy between the expected and actual performance? Is that called known errors, variance, error, or defect?
I'll go with variance.
Yeah, variance as well.
And you're both right. Good job. Chapter 8 is going to be easy for you guys. Which of the following statements is not true regarding assessment formality within the assess requirements change task? So assess requirements change. It's not chapter 8, is it? We're in requirements lifecycle management. So assess requirements change. I realize we're doing a large body of knowledge here, so I'm going to remind you. The purpose of assess requirements change is evaluate the implications of the proposed change to the requirements and designs. The change itself is a change to the requirements and designs. Someone's come in and they said, okay, you've got 400 requirements and the designs that go with those, but we want to change this one thing. So we want to assess the requirements change. Possible answers. Adaptive approaches try to minimize the impact of changes by utilizing iterative and incremental implementation techniques. Let's just start there. Is that one true or not true?
True.
Okay, that one's true. Many proposed changes may be withdrawn from consideration or declined before any formal approval is required.
Maybe withdraw or decline.
Okay.
Ah, tricky. We covered the remaining two here, and I don't know. I think that's a little fuzzy. Hmm.
Okay. The project manager will determine the formality of the assessment process based on the information available and apparent importance to the change and the governance process. Is that one true?
Uh, I would say true.
Okay. And the predictive approach may indicate a more formal assessment of proposed changes. Is that true?
May indicate a more formal assessment. Not necessarily, right? The predictive approach may indicate, I mean, it can either. Hmm.
Remember, predictive approach indicates waterfall.
Waterfall, yeah. Hmm. How does that make it any different here? I mean, even if it's waterfall, how different indicate a more formal assessment of proposed changes, which is true. I mean, it will have to be upfront assessment of all the requirements that come through in terms of waterfall approach. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Waterfall is typically more formal.
formal, yeah. So A is good, is true. D is true. Uh, I think B. I am going with B.
Okay, let's test B.
Ah,
Okay, so the statement that many proposed changes may be withdrawn from consideration or declined before any formal approval is required. Stakeholders may change their mind about the change request and withdraw it from a process. So that's something the Babok talks about. And it's really talking about whenever we're in meetings and people go, well, wait a minute, what if this and what if this and so they have to kind of test it before they get to the point of yes, we do want this change, and then it goes through the formal uh, process, the formal approval process.
gotcha.
Uh, C is the correct answer because it's not the project manager that will determine the formality. The business analyst determines the formality.
Ah, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we learn, right?
Yeah.
Jennifer, who is working on defining design options, identifies the bank managers from various branches have some common needs that can better be met via a single solution, thereby reducing costs. What kind of improvement opportunity is she looking at? So she is in, let's see. I'm not sure which knowledge area she's in at the moment. The type of improvement opportunity: eliminate redundancy, improve access to information, identify additional capabilities, or automate the work.
Would it be requirement lifecycle management?
I
Mm.
I think it could be.
I mean, given that it's come down to the design options, so the requirements must pretty much have already been captured, right? Defining design options, eliminating redundancy, thereby reducing costs.
This is
Ah,
one of the examples of the business of opportunities the business analyst is likely to identify. So we are in define design options.
oh, I got the it's
It
requirement analysis and design definition. Okay. Mm-hmm.
we are in RAD.
Oops.
Nate is a senior business analyst for the NRO company. He's working with Rod on completing requirements prioritization of all the identified requirements. Why would Rod and Nate complete requirements prioritization? Requirements prioritization. Why? To determine which requirements could be changed, which requirements carry the most risk, which requirements should be completed first, or who created what requirement based upon their position in the organization. So that really the question is, what is requirements prioritization?
Which requirement should be completed first?
Okay. Let me ask Jose if he can hear us yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So glad. Okay, which one should be completed first is her vote. Jose, what do you think?
Yes, also kind of like the backlog management.
Exactly. This is the justification for completing the prioritization task. And remember, prioritization is based upon what things are connected. I can't do this until I do these three things, so they have to be grouped. And then what things need to be in which iteration or which release. Um, Sometimes there's an urgency with a requirement that may be based upon a regulatory or contractual obligation. Those are need to be calculated in your prioritization as well. You're a BA trying to understand how the organization structure will be impacted by a solution. What do you need to assess? How the organization structure will be impacted by a solution. So what task are we in?
By the solution evaluation.
Business analysis, planning, and monitoring. Oh, task you meant. Sorry. Hmm.
I was thinking that we were in analyze current state, but it could be if the solution is in place, it could be in solution evaluation. I don't know. Let's go through the answers and we'll figure it out. What do you need to assess for how the how the organization's structure will be impacted by the solution? Do you need to assess the alliance and matrix reporting, formal and informal relationships, the organizational hierarchy, or the formal reporting structures?
I'm thinking alliances and matrix reporting.
Okay. Why do you like that one more than B?
Formal and informal relationships. Hmm.
Because wouldn't this be covered by this? But this is more complete.
Yeah, I'm divided between B and C.
Okay.
Yeah, the organizational hierarchy also sounds fair. But if the structure has already been determined, then it's not something which requires further assessment, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Got to vote for A, B, and C. What do y'all think is the answer?
I'm gonna go with B.
Yeah, we can try B. Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Okay.
Mm.
It's the formal and informal relationships. The reason A is not correct is because these are only the informal relationships. It doesn't cover the formal. And whenever you're looking at a solution, how, how a solution is going to impact the organization structure, you've got to look at both the formal and informal.
Okay.
Okay. I
Okay.
see Amrod, she's joined us. She's going to drop her answers in the chat, so I'll watch that. You're meeting with the key executives from around the company discussing long-term ongoing conditions the organization is striving to achieve. What is being discussed in this meeting? So here's what it's asking. Long-term ongoing conditions the organization is trying to achieve is the definition of, is that business measures, organizational strategy, business values, or business synergy? And remember, it's according to the Babok's definitions.
Business measurements or organizational strategy. Uh,
Yeah, I'm also thinking B or C. Organizational strategy is ongoing, it says ongoing conditions, long term strategy. I go with B.
yeah,
Okay.
B as well.
And B, okay. You're all correct. The Babok lists organizational strategy as a guideline or tool for the analyze current state task. Very good. Which of the following is a common risk a business analyst must continually monitor in relationship to the elicitation and collaboration knowledge area? So we know what knowledge area we're in, and it says a common risk. So stakeholders may have conflicting opinions regarding the prioritization of requirements. Some requirements may be out of scope from the proposed solution. Stakeholders may not understand the models used. Stakeholders may be diverted from the project to other work. The Babok cites
B.
one of these as a common risk that we have to continually monitor for.
I like to go with D. D for dog, D for Denmark.
D, thank you. D, okay,
Yes, as well.
very good. While this is a risk across all business analysis tasks and knowledge areas, it's specifically called out in the managed stakeholder collaboration task as it could directly impact the objectives of the elicitation and collaboration knowledge area. The Babok calls this out and it says if people stop being so quick to respond to emails, if they stop showing up at meetings, this is probably what you might be facing. So you got to monitor those two things. B is not correct. It says it's a valid risk, but is associated with the task to find design options in RAD. But you got it right. Good job. Brenda has completed her assessment of the solution limitations and the enterprise limitations following analysis of performance measures. What guidelines and tools will she use for her next task? So think about what she's completed. Assess the solution limitations. So what knowledge area is she in?
Assess also limitations from
Solution
the
evaluation.
solution.
Solution evaluation here.
Solution evaluation. So she's done that. She's also done enterprise limitations, and she's done analyze performance measures. So we've got to figure out what her next task is after she's done those three things. So what is the next task that she's doing?
The solution value. Find the solution value.
Solution limitations, enterprise limitations. So the next task is recommend actions to increase solution value, right?
Increase solution value, increase.
So we know which guidelines and tools that we're going to be using. I'm just going to say this. The purpose of recommend actions to increase solution value is understand the factors that create differences between the potential value and the actual value and recommend a course of action to align them. It's like we're supposed to be getting 500 widgets a day. We're only getting 300 widgets a day. This is what we're going to do to get it from 300 back to 500. So that's what your goal is here. The guidelines and tools that you use in that task. Is it business objectives, current state description, business objective, change strategy, solution scope, current state description, solution scope, change strategy, or business objectives, current state description, solution scope? Can we eliminate one?
Eliminate C because of change strategy.
Okay. Wait a minute. This has change strategy in it too.
Yeah.
I think we get rid of both.
Okay. So A and D are left.
It's D because it also includes solution scope. We need to understand the entire scope.
Okay.
Agree.
So
D.
D is in dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the guidelines and tools for the recommend actions to increase solution value, which Brenda will be performing next. So you've got only these three as guidelines and tools: business objectives, current state description, and solution scope. Are the guidelines and tools for recommend actions to increase solution value. You have been asked to facilitate a session to model requirements. What techniques are you least likely to use? Facilitate a session to model requirements. So what task are you in?
Requirement analysis and design definition.
Okay, so you're in red. And if you're going to model requirements, are you in red?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it should
Or
be.
are you in specify and model requirements? I'm
Specify.
sorry, that is red. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay, so what techniques are you least likely to use? Use cases, sequence diagrams, state diagrams, organization modeling, process data, data dictionary, and glossary, prototyping, data modeling, interface analysis, document analysis, benchmarking, market analysis. Let's eliminate. So let's eliminate the ones that we know we will use. How about this one? Will we use these?
Not in a.
Yes. Use cases, sequence, state diagrams. Yes.
Okay. Will we use these?
There's more data dictionary and glossary.
I guess we will. Data dictionary and glossary. No, I'm not sure. Sorry.
Okay, that's a iffy. I'll put it as if. Would we use prototype data modeling and interface analysis?
I would say yes.
Okay. Would we use document analysis, benchmarking, and market analysis?
No.
No.
Okay. Amarachi, what do you think? I've got 2 votes for D as being the least likely to use. Okay, let's check the answer. All right, y'all are all right. None of these techniques are listed as techniques that support specified model requirements. The rest of these, yeah, you can use those as long as they help convey the information to your stakeholders in a way that makes it easy for them to understand what the requirements say or mean. Good job. Subsequent to investigating reasons for a solution's poor performance, you come to the conclusion that the solution is actually delivering an acceptable amount of value to the stakeholders. So you started out with the idea that the solution isn't performing appropriately, and then you come to the idea that, wait a minute, yeah, it is. How could that happen? What made the change? The business need has changed significantly, so while the solution is delivering value, it's irrelevant to the current state. The solution is delivering value, but stakeholders aren't utilizing the solution as designed. Stakeholders' expectations change from when the solution was first released, or the initial solution measures don't accurately reflect delivered value. What do we think?
I'm thinking D.
I've got 1 vote for D.
B for Bahamas or D for Denmark. So yeah, I'll go with D, Denmark as well.
Okay. All right, let's test it. And you're both correct. Second question on the same scenario. What is the BA recommendation as the next step to increase solution value? So let's go back. If the answer really is the initial solution measurements don't actually reflect delivered value, the next thing we should do is retrain stakeholders on how to effectively utilize the solution, suggest enhancements to the solution to increase value, retire the solution as the business has changed to the point where it's not needed, or identify and define more appropriate measures so solution value is accurately reflected.
D.
D for Denmark, yeah.
Okay. And you're correct. If the solution measures are not accurately reflecting the value, you improve your solution measures. Either you eliminate some, you change some, or you add some. A prototype that is used to explore the basic size, look, and feel of a product that will be manufactured without creating the actual functionality is called which of the following? Is that called a proof of concept, form study prototype, usability prototype, or functional prototype?
Proof of concept? Not sure.
Without creating actual functionality, so functional prototype is ruled out.
Yeah, I'm also divided with that one.
I'm thinking usability prototype. No. because there is no functionality to it.
Okay.
I don't know what form study prototype is.
Okay, I've got a vote for A and a vote for C. Y'all want to tell me why you like your answer better than the other answer?
I want to go with form study, yeah, not usability. Yeah, I
Okay.
want to go with form study. It's non
Okay.
and it's got the rest of the features, basic look, feel, and size.
Okay.
I mean, I had to
Jose?
look up the definition of a form study prototype. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Jose, what do you think? You voted for A, right?
Yes.
Okay. Amarachi, can you be a tiebreaker between A and B? Okay, she's going to go with A. Let's test A. Okay, so a form study prototype is a model that can be a model of, I'm sorry, I'm going to start over. This model may also be used to model a workflow or navigation at high level, but it also can show you the basic size, look, and feel of a product. The reason proof of concept is not correct is this is a model created to validate a design of a system without modeling appearance. The scenario is calling for a form study prototype. So proof of concept has nothing to do with appearance. And this is talking about appearance.
Okay.
Okay. Good job, guys. Learning is our goal, right? Which of the following criteria is the basis of prioritization of requirements? So let's see. These all say risk and benefit. Is it issues or risk?
Issues or risk?
Basis for prioritization of requirements. Is it issues or risk?
It's risk. I usually make a confusion with the rate.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
yeah, it's
risk.
risk.
Okay, so we're going to eliminate A. Is it baseline or benefit?
I will go with benefit.
Benefit,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're going to eliminate B also. Is it cost or constraint?
Cost constraint is already in the risk. Yeah, cost.
Cost. Yeah, agree
Okay,
with you.
so risk, benefit, cost dependencies. Amarachi, can you get behind that one? These are the criteria for the basis of prioritization. What is the risk of this thing over this other requirement? And remember, risks, you sometimes you do the riskiest thing first, because if it's high risk and it impacts the project negatively, you know that it's done at the beginning of the project. Instead of waiting until you get 2/3 of the way through the project and you spent all the money and time and effort and changed configurations and then find out you got this high risk thing, you put it at the first part of the project. That way, if it's going to blow up, you know it's going to blow up early and you don't spend all that extra time and money. And then what is the benefit of doing this thing over something else? You do the highest benefit. For the cost, you have to do your return on investment, and so you have to know what your cost is. And just being aware of the cost is the thing here. And then dependencies, you prioritize based upon what things have to go together. Any questions on that?
No, no. 5341. Okay.
Whoa, I skipped one there. Okay. Number 15. There are several types of relationships that business analysts considers when defining the traceability approach. So traceability is our key. What type of relationships exist when it only makes sense to implement a particular requirement if a related requirement is also implemented? So this is the relationship we're asking. We want the name of the relationship. If you take this one only if something else is implemented. For instance, you don't need to worry about putting a link in the menu for the home screen if you haven't created the menu yet. You've got to have one before the other happens, and it's got to be related. It's got to be implemented together. Is that called necessity, effort, depends, or derive?
Depends.
Depends as well, but yeah,
But
depends as. But if this is the correct answer, incorrect.
it is incorrect. So depends is a relationship between two requirements. Whenever one requirement depends on another, it's a close answer, but it's not what we want here. We want necessity. It's a
Hmm.
subtype of the depends relationship that exactly describes the situation in the scenario and the trace requirements task. So it only makes sense to implement a particular requirement if a related requirement is also implemented.
Mhm.
So underneath depends is necessity. Let me find it real quick.
Yeah, I just gave a glance. It's got necessity and effort under depends.
Okay, necessity and effort under depends.
So we are in analyze potential value and recommend solution. Maybe we're not. Let me find it. I'm looking for the wrong word here, guys. I'm sorry. Let me look up necessity. Here it is. We're in trace requirements. Under relationships, you've got derive, depend, which is necessity, effort, satisfy, and validate. Okay, let's move forward. How is mind mapping utilized in the prepare for elicitation task? So this is where we're at, prepare for elicitation. How is mind mapping utilized according to the BABOK? Used to estimate the time and cost of business analysis tasks associated with planning elicitation events. Used by the BA to identify which sources of business analysis information to consult. Mind mapping is not a suggested tool for this task. Used by the BA to identify which sources of business analysis information to consult and which elicitation techniques might be most effective. So let's eliminate one. First of all, is mind mapping suggested for this task?
Yeah, we need to understand the.
Okay, so we can eliminate that. Is mind mapping used to estimate time and cost?
No.
So we can eliminate that. So we have B and D. What do y'all think?
D for Denmark is more complete.
Ditto. Yeah.
These are effective uses of the mind mapping technique to identify which sources of business analysis information to consult and which elicitation techniques might be most effective. I'll admit I've never used mind mapping to figure out which elicitation techniques. I always look at the stakeholders and their specific conditions. and that tells me which elicitation techniques I should use. But for the sources of business analysis information, I have used it. And for this one in particular, the way that I've used it is saying, so what information do I need? And then who can provide it? And so that way it's all connected. Have y'all ever used mind mapping for that?
No,
Yeah, for
never
that,
used.
yes, but for the not for the elicitation techniques as well.
Right. It I see what they're going for. It just didn't seem
Yeah.
to make sense to me. You're a business analyst on an initiative and you're preparing for elicitation of a new business opportunity. What is the prerequisite for conducting elicitation? So before you conduct elicitation, what is the input you have to have? You need to ensure that all needed resources are organized and scheduled for conducting the elicitation activities. You need to receive permission from functional management to interview and elicit requirements from the stakeholders. You need to determine which elicitation techniques are needed for the requirements gathering, or you need authority granted to you from the sponsor to utilize resources for the elicit requirements process. Let's eliminate one.
B.
And what do we think is the best answer?
I think A. Or which or C.
Think about what does the Babok say?
Sufficient techniques.
Kind of divided between A or C.
Jose, what is your answer? Amarachi, what is your answer?
I'm also divided with A and C. I think I'm gonna go with A.
Yeah, I go with A as well.
Okay. Amarachi, I'm not seeing your chat anymore, so I'm going to go on. You are correct with A. The prerequisite for elicitation process includes gathering all resources needed and scheduling the resources for conducting the scheduled elicitation activities. And just to note, this is one of those things that if you are needing to get access to somebody and you're having trouble, the PM's job is to help you get access, but only if you go to them and say, I need help getting to this stakeholder. Which one of the following is not a consideration for when approving requirements? Is it conflict and issue management, governance approach, gain consensus, or understand stakeholder roles? So we're in the approving requirements stage here.
The governance approach is not a consideration because it's not just part of what we are doing now. We already had the governance approach on a previous task when we were on the first task when we were making the planning and monitoring.
Okay. So your vote is for B?
Yes, not a consideration. Yeah.
Okay. Jetnia, what do you think?
Sorry, am I audible?
You are now. I was waiting on you.
Apologies. Sorry. I mean, understand stakeholder roles. Yeah, I think understand stakeholder roles. What has stakeholder roles got to do with the requirements approval? Hmm. I don't know. I'll go with either gain consensus or understand stakeholder roles. I think it's just a little too late to understand stakeholder roles, especially when we have come to the stage of seeking approval for the requirements already gathered from the stakeholders.
I understand your point, but I also remember that some stakeholders have the role of approving
Mhm.
requirements.
Mhm.
So, Jose, tell me why you like governance approach more.
Because some stakeholders do have a role to approve those requirements. So you need to understand who has the. You need to understand the power balance between the stakeholders. We need to gain consensus. We need to make sure that all of those conflicting needs and priorities eventually come to a point that we are actually able to say, okay, we need this, and this, so we are gonna put X, Y, Z to later. Is everyone in agreement? And
Okay.
conflict and issue management, they are gonna fight amongst each other. They are gonna
Yeah.
call out the issues throughout this task, this process. So governance approach to me is more like when we are on the planning stage, on the very first stage.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to test governance approach. We'll figure it out. So this is not one of the elements for approve requirements task. Part of defining the approval process is understanding the stakeholder roles. So that's what we do when we define the approval process itself.
Mhm.
And for gain consensus, BAs are responsible for ensuring that the stakeholders understand and accept the requirements as a prerequisite to their approval. So we have to gain consensus. So governance approach is correct. Thank you for talking us through that. After a long and challenging project, Roger has to determine if an enterprise is able to adapt to or effectively use the solution. What does Roger need in order to accomplish his goal? So determine if an enterprise is able to adapt to or effectively use the solution. What task are we in?
Enterprise
Evaluation,
limitations.
evaluation.
Okay. So does he need to perform a stakeholder impact analysis, conduct a cultural assessment, conduct an operational assessment, or assess the enterprise structure?
Operational assessment.
I've got one vote for C.
Divided between B, Bahamas, and D, Denmark. An enterprise is able to adapt on effectively use.
I've got a vote for B and a vote for C and a vote for D. Chetnia, talk to me about why you like operational assessment instead of a cultural assessment.
For me, there's already a solution which is running, which is operational, and they're now coming up with a solution which they want to see if it's able to adapt to the already existing process or replace it with the new solution that's available. So, in order to test that, it's got to be more
Okay.
of an operational assessment.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Okay. So let's test C. And you're correct. Let's see why B isn't correct. So for a cultural assessment, two of the reasons this is done is to identify whether or not stakeholders understand the reasons why the solution exists
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whether they view the solution as beneficial.
Yeah.
And for D, assess the enterprise structure. This is done to see how the organization structure is impacted by the solution. But what we want to know is if the enterprise is able to adapt to or effectively use the solution. So that is operational assessment. Good job, guys. As a business analyst, you're given the following elicitation information. The database shall support the generation and control of configuration objects, and the objects are themselves grouping of other objects in the database. Why would decomposing the above information be critical to you? So here's what we want to decompose, and why would we want to decompose it? Information decomposition should be avoided as it takes more time and may lead to project delay. Information decomposition does away with all the assumptions that is done in the actual project. Information decomposition would help identifying anything that must change or not change to meet the business need or any missing components. Information decomposition would prove that the business analyst is well experienced, and this would give the stakeholders confidence. Let's eliminate one, guys.
Eliminate A and D.
Yep, I agree.
Very good. So B and C are left. What do we think is the best answer?
I'll go with C.
Yes, C as well.
Okay. You are correct. You're all three correct. Good job. Okay, delivery sales have been decreasing by 5% year over year, means year after year, for a company's bottled water offerings. The water is delivered to a subscriber's door in a 5-gallon plastic jug which fits on top of a dispenser. This is a common product in the bottled water industry. Allen has been asked to assess the solution to understand the reason for declining sales, as it has been the company's steady source of revenue. So something has changed. The company's model has not changed, though. Allen found that as the population of customer segments subscribing to the service aged, the 5-gallon jugs were simply too heavy to hoist onto the water dispenser, causing them to cancel the service. Allen brainstormed potential solutions and immediately completed a financial analysis to understand the cost benefit of the manufacturing jugs that held the 2.5 versus 5 gallons. He was proud of the fact that the 2.5-gallon jugs could have the same neck and would fit the existing dispensers. His recommendation was to go ahead with the manufacture of the new jugs along with a win-back campaign for lost customers. What might be missing in his recommendation? Nothing is missing in his recommendation. Al's process and recommendation is right on. He needed to complete a risk analysis. He needs to provide decision makers with a view of what will be happening if they do nothing. He needs to provide alternative actions in addition to consideration. So he's given them one idea of this is what you should do to move forward. What can we eliminate in the answers?
A.
So what is the right answer?
Dividing between two, B and C.
I'm
Okay.
thinking
To me, C is kind of like doing a risk analysis, but only presenting the risk of doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, he's
Yeah,
already done the financial analysis, right? Immediately completed a financial analysis. So the financial analysis will pretty much capture all the risk details to it as well.
Um,
No,
Financial analysis is not going to capture all the risks.
not all of them. Yeah.
Financial analysis will capture the cost and benefit. What's
Mm.
how much do we need? What's the return on investment? Um, and it was only for manufacturing these smaller jugs.
I
okay.
am
Now,
thinking D.
yeah. Now I'm also considering D. It's either B Bahamas or D Denmark. It is translation for the selection. No, I still go with B Bahamas.
Okay, let's test it.
Yeah, B.
You're correct. Alan is assuming that people will be able to lift the 2.5-gallon jug. Assumptions are risks every single time. Anything that is not proven, is not discussed, is an assumption. And then the next question. Cheryl has completed her analysis of the solution's performance measures that she collected to determine the value of the solution provides to the enterprise. What will she do next? So what has she just done? What task did she just complete?
Solution performance. What is it? Assess solution.
Measure solution performance?
Measure solution performance. Okay.
Okay. So the output of that is solution performance measures. So the next task, she's going to assess the solution limitations and identify the cause for limitations, determine if the solution aligns with the goals and objectives, create key performance indicators, or determine if the measures are qualitative or quantitative.
Indicators, something like that.
I'll go with either C or D.
I will go with C or A.
Okay. I got 2 votes for C. Let's check C. Okay. So during the performance measures analysis, you create your key performance indicators already. So the answer is assess the solution limitations and identify the cause for the limitations. So this is where we are. We finished measure solution performance and analyze performance measures. The output of that would be right here in your input for assess solution limitations. But we learn.
To 6.
Okay, documenting a request that describes a customer's interaction with a proposed system to accomplish a goal. So this is kind of the definition of the technique. Is best associated with which of the following techniques? Is that a user story, a data flow diagram, activity diagram, or a use case? Can we eliminate one?
Activity diagram and eliminate data flow.
we go. Okay. And what is the best answer?
User story. Who, what, and why or how.
Okay. Do you agree, Chetna and Namarachi?
Um, I'm going with use case.
Okay, I've got 2 votes for user story and 1 vote for use case. Let's test it. Okay, so a user story, according to the BABOK, documents features and stakeholder objectives at a high narrative level. They're not necessarily about interactions between the user and a system. The customer's interaction with a proposed
Yeah,
system to
yeah,
accomplish a goal is the definition of use case.
yeah, yeah.
And
The
I want to
stick
give you all,
man, yeah.
go ahead,
The stick man and the interactions, yeah, yeah.
Stickman. Yes, that's right. I want to give you a verbal picture of a use case. A use case is going to be the user logs into the system displays the menu, the user selects this aspect of the menu, the system does this thing, the user does this thing, the system does this thing. So that's going to be a use case. A use case diagram is the stickman and the function that they're trying to accomplish. So you've got the use case that tells you step by step what each you do versus the system does versus you do. And sometimes the system has to go out and grab information and bring it back to you. So that might be in there. But so you got your use case, then you got your use case diagram, which is high level. The customer can open an account, they can edit their account, they can close their account, they can make transactions on their account. That's the stickman and all of the different functions that they can do in the diagram. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference between the roles of a tester and a BA regarding the evaluation of solutions? So, solution evaluation, the 2 different roles have specific responsibilities in that task. The BA and tester are both typically responsible for identifying solution problems during a change, and the BA is responsible for assessing the existing solution outside of the change. They are interchangeable. They need to negotiate roles and responsibilities on a case-by-case basis. The tester is typically responsible for identifying solution problems during the change and assessing an existing solution outside of a change. The BABOK doesn't suggest a delineation of responsibilities between the 2 roles for solution evaluation. Let's eliminate some, guys.
I think D.
Can we eliminate anything else?
Sorry, I meant D, Denmark, Thea. I think
D.
there has been
Okay.
roles defined for BA and tester in the BABOK.
Okay.
I think we can eliminate D.
Okay. So what is the best answer?
C. Sorry, I kind of looked up the tester definition. Uh, I was fairly certain that it was completely separate roles that were defined in the BABOK. I looked up tester and it's giving me that answer. So, yeah, it's a sure shot C now. My
Okay.
apologies. Yeah,
That's
I was
okay.
more so curious.
Jose, do you agree with C?
Yeah, I was my social change processing. I was divided between C and A.
Okay. So is Amarachi.
We can check. Yeah, we can check for both.
Let's test C and we'll find out. So the tester is typically responsible for identifying solution problems during a change. So as we go through a change to our application, the tester is the one who identifies solution problems, and then the BA is the one for assessing the existing solution outside of a change, is what this says. And This might be true in the real world, but doesn't reflect the BABOK. Okay. Rhonda is a BA reviewing the issues that surfaced on a similar project to the one she's currently assigned to that was closed 2 years ago. What would be the value of reviewing past issues from similar projects? Reviewing past issues could help identify risks for the current project. Reviewing past issues and their fixes could help establish the amount of money needed for the contingency reserves. Reviewing past issues will help Rhonda understand which stakeholder groups were impacted and so will assist in stakeholder identification. Reviewing past issues could help identify the fix so the team wouldn't have to recreate the wheel. What can we eliminate?
I think B.
I agree. We're not trying to establish the amount of money for contingency reserves, are we? So what is the best answer?
A, Alabama.
Okay, I've got one vote for A.
I will go for C.
Tell me why you like A more than C, Jose.
It's the lessons learned type of phase, the understanding past issues actually help us identify the risks for the current project. I was also divided a bit with the C as well,
Yeah,
but
it's
I don't feel like how it will help us with stakeholder identification.
Okay. Chetna, tell me why you like C better than A.
I would think we're looking at similar projects, so it pretty much would give her a fair enough picture around the different groups, the stakeholder groups which will get impacted. So it's more of a heads up risks, given that similar projects, but there were issues. No, actually, I'm still deflected towards looking at option C.
Okay.
A also fits in, to be honest, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I've got 2 votes for A and 1 vote for C, so let's test A. So, manifested risks, which are things that have happened, are issues. Typically, using lessons learned technique to proactively manage risk to prevent issues costs less and delivers more value. Let's see why it says C is not the best answer. While it may be a side benefit, it's not the primary purpose.
Okay.
But it is a benefit, I agree. Let's submit this exam. Okay, Chapter 8, 100%. Elicitation and collaboration, 75. RAD, 75. Requirements lifecycle management, 60. And solution evaluation, 90. Look at that. Guys, y'all answered 9 questions correctly out of solution evaluation. I have no concern for you for that one. We need to get better at RAD. And let's see, this is chapter 4. Why don't we do this and go ahead and add in chapter 3 next week? That way we're going to cover all of these again, but add in the preparation prior to beginning the project.
Sounds good, Thea.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that I wasn't able to be here last week and someone else covered for me. I think he did a pretty good job. He's one of my favorite people. I appreciate him stepping up here. So thank y'all for dealing with me being out. I plan on being here next week, And so we'll do chapters 3 through 5. If you have a chance and you haven't done it, please go into the Slack and go into your file repository and be sure that you've done at least group 6 and group 8 before you take your test. The word problems and logic problems are also good to do. I don't think it'll take you a whole lot of time, but you need this information before you take your test, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
Thank you,
Bye.
Tia.
Thanks,
Bye.
thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.